Welcome to my glorious Golden Valley. And the reason I call it my Golden Valley is if I lift up my head, I can see the roof of my house just over there. And this valley has all kinds of ideal habitats for the animal that I'm holding right here. It's got this thick tussocky grass and lots of shady and humid spots. This is, of course, a slow worm, curiously named because it's neither slow nor a worm, and neither is it a snake for that matter. It is, in fact, a lizard without legs, a legless lizard. But they're often mistaken for snakes, and there's a few ways that you can tell them apart. Starting here with the eyelids. Now, this one is clearly beating me in a staring competition, but it does, in fact, have eyelids, and they need those because they're semi-fossorial, a word I don't get to say often enough. And that means they spend part of their time burrowing and underground, and they need to be able to blink to clear away that dust and debris from their eyes. Snakes do actually have a transparent membrane across their eyes, but it's attached to their skin. So when they molt, the whole thing comes off, eye covering and all. And you can tell when they're about to molt because that eye covering goes very milky, and it's a time when the snake's at its most vulnerable. Another thing to tell them apart is external ears, which aren't terribly clear on this one because it's not a very big slow worm, but they do have external ears here on the sides of their head. Snakes have internal ear structures, and they hear by feeling the vibrations against their jawbone as they move along the ground. Now, having one in hand like this is an ideal opportunity. Firstly, look at that amazing colour. Paint companies, take note. I want to see slow worm on your swatches anytime soon. But also, you can see some of their scarring. Now, this one is a male, and they'll have scarring across their body from fighting during the mating season. Females will have scarring around their head and their neck for where they've been mated with. Absolutely beautiful. And there have been quite a few sightings of these over the spring. This first one is from Charles Cuthbert in Suffolk. Now, you can often find slow worms in your gardens. They very much like the tussocky grass, but also the warmth of the compost heap. This one here moving about in very, very dry ground, and they'll head out and hunt around dusk, looking for worms and slugs and other things, and they've got backward curving teeth to hold on and keep a grip of that slippery and wriggly prey. Now, if you've got naughty cats at home, you need to keep an eye because they're probably the slow worm's very worst predator. And we've also, we've been looking at the devil in the detail, so we've got a very scientific, here it is, rate the reptile. What we're doing is measuring them. Now, slow worms, we've just been talking about them. How tall do you think they are? Not terribly, actually, 40 to 50 centimetres. That's our slow worm right there. But we've also had quite a few sightings of grass snakes this spring. We're not sure why there's so many sightings of them. This one here is from David Palash in Essex. It could be because we've been given this gift of extra time in nature. That's why we're seeing them more. Or it could be because it's been such a hot and a dry spring. Obviously, they're ectothermic like other reptiles, and they would need to bask in order to boost their body temperature to get fully active. They'll do that either in the sun or against something pretty warm. Another place where you might see grass snakes is in the water, and they're wedded to the water because it's where most of their prey can be found. We've got this from Mark Killalay, shot of a grass snake swimming pretty adeptly across his garden pond. Now, here in the Golden Valley, we've got all kinds of habitat that really do suit the slow worm and the grass snake. We've got the woodland edges here, as you can see, and we've got grassland and heathland. Oh, it brings a tear to my eye, this. It's my home valley. But most importantly, we've got lots of water along the bottom of the valley. The River Frome is down there, and so too is the old canal that would have taken the cloth up to London in the peak of the wool trade. It's all pretty derelict now, but I think all the prettier for it. Now, their prey are largely frogs and toads, and this one had a pretty lucky escape. It was sent in by Rhiannon Hodgson in Devon. Now, because they are incredible, well, they're incredible hunters, but they don't have venom, so they rely on the art of surprise. And this one, well, it was incredibly lucky. It just about got away, but normally what they'll do is pounce, take it in whole and swallow it down, often still alive. Pretty gruesome stuff. And don't get too upset if you see your frog's been taken. They don't take all that many. And remember, they have predators too in the form of foxes and badgers and birds, and they're famous for their defense mechanism. They have this kind of funny, actually. They play dead with the mouth open, the tongue hangs out, and they produce an incredible stench. And it got me to thinking about all the stinks that I've come across in nature. So in at number 3 is wolf. Having spent a day with wolves, the pheromones that still stuck to me made me clear the train carriage on the way home. Number 2 was eels. Having handled eels, well, it takes a lot of washing to get those off your skin, but I think number 1 has to be the stench from a grass snake. And the clue is in the fact that the smell comes from its anal gland. Takes some getting used to, takes a while to get out of your nostrils, that one. So where do you think grass snakes feature on our Rate the Reptile? Well, surprisingly, up to 150 centimetres, nearly as tall as me. It's pretty impressive. One of our best-known reptiles is, of course, the adder, our only venomous snake. They have those beautiful zigzag markings, which, if you can put on a plain background, would look incredibly bold. But here, in amongst the bracken, it all makes absolutely perfect sense. Now, where do you think they feature on this stick? Well, I guess in our mind's eye, because they have the venom, maybe we think they're absolutely enormous. But surprisingly, just 60 to 80 centimetres, there is our adder right there. Just a selection of some of our fabulous reptiles. Back to you, Chris and Meg.
Wow, great stuff, great stuff. I love seeing all of those reptiles, although I have to disagree with Ellie about the stench of grass snake. I love the smell of grass snake. To me, it's the smell of success. When I used to go out catching grass snakes when I was a kid, if you came back smelling of that, you'd got one. You've been successful.
No, I mean, you've got positive memories for that, but the smell, you can't think that smells very nice. It's really horrible. It lasts forever.
Yeah, difficult to wash off. But I used to lay beneath the blankets, just sniffing my fingers, thinking, yeah, caught a snake, caught a snake.